why you are here. Okay, good. Please, you are welcome to our very first lectures. I will plead with you to like, comment, and subscribe to this very channel. In fact, this is how we also get our earnings, right? Perfect. So I'm pleading with you to like our YouTube channel. Okay, with our chop, do that for me right now before you continue. I love you. Okay, good. So please, today we are talking about what? The regulatory framework of IPSAS and IFRS. The regulatory framework of IPSAS and IFRS. That's what we are talking about. Now, IPSAS, as you know, is the same as IFRS in most cases. So please, don't be confused. I know some of you are confused between IPSAS. In fact, somebody is hearing IPSAS for the very first time. Please, IPSAS simply means International Public Sector Accounting Standards. The key word is International Public Sector. The P there means public sector. And IFRS is International Financial Reporting Standard. International Financial Reporting. So one is only for the public sector, and one is for what? It's for private entities or commercial entities. Are you okay? So like I say, IPSAS is the same as IFRS in most cases. In most cases, IPSAS is the same as IFRS. A standard in IPSAS can be found in IFRS. Most of the times, they are the same. Same. Okay? So today, I would like you to know the people behind the standards. These standards I'm saying are being developed by a team or a group of people. And that is what I would like us to look at. So, you see, we are all used to the accounting standards. We are all used to the accounting standards. It's a shame if you don't know how the accounting standards comes into being. It's a shame if you don't know how these standards comes into being. That's why there's a need for us to know about what? The IPSAS board. If it is IFRS, it is the IFRS board. Formerly, it was IAS. So it was IAS board. Are you okay? So let me take my time and explain to you the three terminologies I just mentioned. So the first one was International Accounting Standard. Formerly, see, look at something here. We have International Accounting Standards. That is International Accounting Standards. Okay, they were accounting standards that were prepared for companies to use in preparing their financial statements. Are you okay? And the board that prepares these financial statements, that prepares these standards, no, we call them the International Accounting Standard Board. Are you okay? They later changed their name to IFRS Board. So now they stop producing IAS. They are now producing IFRS. The same thing, the same standards, is now called IFRS. The same way that your name is called Akosia Bruce. And if your boyfriend calls you Akosia Bruce, you get offended because you tell your boyfriend that I'm no more Akosia Bruce. Call me babe. You don't like Akosia Bruce. You not like babe. The same thing. So now the same IAS has now changed to what? IFRS. They think that this one suits its function better. IFRS suits, look at the name, International Accounting Standard and International Financial Reporting Standard. It's not just accounting. You are reporting the entire financial transactions. So me, myself, I think it is better we are calling them international standards. So can you imagine? International Financial Reporting Standard 1, International Financial Reporting Standard 2 is better than IAS, International Accounting Standard, meaning you are limiting it to only accounting. Meanwhile, financial reporting is not only about accounting. Do you get it? So therefore, They changed from IAS to what? IFRS. So instead of IAS board. So the IAS board, they were setting the IAS standards. The IAS board was setting IAS standard, but now we have the IFRS board that is setting the what? The IFRS standard. By the IPSAS board. In order for you not to forget that there's something called IPSAS board, I have gone through the pain to get you their picture. In fact, this picture, when they were taking it, I was there. I used my iPhone 14 Pro Max to take them this pic. So this is the people behind the IPSAS standards we are using. This is the image of the people. You can print this and put in your room, okay? When somebody asks you, tell the person that these are the people that set the standards for us to use in the public sector. Please, all standards you are using in the public sector are being set by these people. Can you see that? All the standards you are using in the public sector are being set by these people. So this is actually my aspiration. This is what I yearn for. I pray that in the near future, my daughter or my son will be part of them. This is what I yearn for. You were thinking I'll say myself, eh? No, maybe I can't go there. I don't have time to go and learn again. I'm tired. So these are the board. Can you see that? And as you can see an Asian. You can see an European. You can see an African. You see that? You can see people from different origin because they are setting international standard. They are not setting Asian standard. Neither are they setting American standard. So therefore, it's made up of a group. My first assignment. Please, how many people makes up the IPSAS board? That's my first assignment. That's assuming those who cannot spell. Sorry, those who cannot count. My first assignment to the class. How many people makes up the IPSAS board? Second assignment. What is the function? What is the core function of the IPSAS board? What is the core function of the IPSAS board? What's the core function of the IPSAS board? 2 assignments. I will seek the results before the close of this lecture. Perfect. So this is the IPSAS board. Perfect. Now, let's go into the role of the IPSAS board. What is the role? What do they do? Those people, what do they do? What do the IPSAS board do? What do they do? What do they do? Let me speak Hausa. Yaike, inaike, omuyeden. Naike, omuyeden. What do they do? Please, a child will be able to tell you what they do. Why? Because their name tells you what they do. Their name tells you what they do. The name is IPSAS board. So if you don't know anything, you don't know anything. They set accounting standards. In fact, if you say they set accounting standard, you'll be marked half because you didn't express it well. You didn't answer it like you're a chartered accountant. So what do? They set international public sector accounting standard. This will give you the full marks. So that's what they do. The role of the IPSAS board. So they said that what? The IPSAS board develops accounting and sustainability standards for public sector entities. Full stop. They set accounting and sustainability standards. So That is it. So that's the rule, okay, or the same as the objective. The objective. So the objective is that the what they set accrual-based international public sector accounting standard. The same thing. And there are some of you. If they change the name, crap, then they say you are confused. If I say they set standards, accounting standards, and somebody also say that they set accrual-based accounting standards. It's the same, right? And they also set what sustainability reporting standards. Please, this sustainability reporting is a new introduction to public sector. You understand it? And very soon, it will be compulsory for all companies in the world, including the public sector, to give a sustainability report. Very soon, it will not just be the financial report. Very soon, you have to give reports on the environment, the impact of the company on the environment. Very soon. That is sustainability reporting. Very soon, you have to give a report. After you prepare a financial statement, then you prepare another statement, that's a sustainability report, giving us the impact of your company or the production. Don't just say you made a profit of 5,000. Tell us that you made a profit of 5,000, and in the course of making profits, this is the impact of your production on the environment. So sustainability reporting is just made up of ESG. If you know this, you are free to go. Sustainability reporting. So very soon, you tell us the impact of your company on the environment, on the society, and on what? Governance. Very soon. That's sustainability reporting. They are now introducing it gradually. So now it's in the syllabus of corporate reporting. Sustainability reporting is in financial reporting. Sustainability reporting is in public sector, right? Perfect. So key activities. What is the key thing that they do? Okay, they set standards, we understand. So what is the key activities? In order for them to achieve that purpose, what do they do? 1, delivering global standards, and 2, inspiring adoption and implementation. That is my favorite. Inspiring adoption and implementation. What is the function of a parent? One function of a parent is to educate his or her children. That's one function of it. So does it mean that you should go and enroll a child in a school and that ends it? No, that does not end it. After you send your ward to school, after you enroll your ward into any educational facility, you have to put in place measures that will ensure that your child is indeed educated. Are you okay? You have to put in place measures that ensures that your child is indeed what? Educated. That's so-called inspiring adoption. Don't just set the standard. Yes, it's true. You are setting international accounting standard. This is not all. After you set the standard, you have to put in place measures that will ensure that all countries across, all countries across the globe uses this standard. That is what called they inspire adoption and implementation. So that's their function. They have 2 key roles that they play. Apart from preparing the financial statement, preparing the standards and also the reporting standard, they also have a mandate of ensuring that all public sector entities adopt it. You understand it, or they implement it, or they use it. Please do get it. Perfect. So that is that. So for instance, after you enroll in S&D, then the facilitators of S&D will teach you. After we teach you, then we say that we are done teaching you, so our job ends. No, our job doesn't end. The same way, after they set a standard, it doesn't end with that. You have to go beyond that and ensure that countries like Ghana will implement it. Are you okay? Will implement those standards that they have set. The same way, after facilitators teach you at S&D, it doesn't end it. We go beyond the teaching. We do other things, checking up on you and others. Are you okay? So please, that is what it means by what? Inspiring adoption and implementation. Inspiring, sending you text messages, checking up on you, keeping you awake, telling you what is ahead of you, motivating, inspiring you. They do all these things. So after they set the standard, they go a step further to ensure that countries like Ghana, Togo, Nigeria, Benin, they all use the standards that they have what? Set. Thank you very much. So please, from today going, everybody should know the role of the IPSAS board. They are there for a purpose. So if you have any standard that you think that the standard is not that, it's not crafted well, you think that there's something wrong with the standard, you know whom to blame. It's supposed to be the IPSAS board, because they are the people who are solely responsible for certain accounting standards. Please, are you okay? So any question at all or any interview can ask you, what is the role of the IPSAS board? Tell us the activities of the IPSAS board. You should be in a position to tell us. Now I have an image to summarize everything I've said. I have an image here to summarize everything I've said. I believe in one theory of teaching that says that what? I see, I remember. I see, I remember. So I try as much as possible to make whatever we are doing very visual for you all to see. Okay. So what do? They set public accounting standards and also set what? Sustainability reporting standard. It said it's a new thing that they have implemented, right? And apart from that, they promote adoption and implementation of the standard. They promote adoption and implementation of the standard. Are you okay? How do they promote adoption? By creating awareness, building alliance, and others. Please, this lecture material will be available, okay? Yes, there will be a link below at where the description is. There's a link there. When you click on it, it will send you to a Telegram page where you can download the recorded learning material, okay? Those of you who join live class, you'll get it after the session. God bless you. God bless you. So please, this is the what? The regulatory framework. The people that regulate the IPSAS that we are using. All IPSASs that you are using are being regulated by the what? The IPSAS board. They are the regulators. Are you okay? Now let's proceed. So what helps IPSAS board to carry out their mandate? What helps IPSAS board to carry out their mandate? Okay, so it says to achieve the objectives that are stated above. The IPSAS board develops and issues the following to achieve the objective, that is promoting international adoption of the standards. What does IPSAS board do? One, they produce authoritative standards. Please, IPSAS is an authoritative standard. It is more or less like a mandatory standard. You understand it? IPSAS will tell you what to do. The IPSAS standards, no. If, for instance, you go and buy a new asset, you go and buy a new car, how do you treat it? IPSAS will direct you how to treat it. I love IPSAS, eh? If you go and buy a machine, IPSAS will tell you how to treat it. Like it will tell you, to give you the authority to know how to treat it. Like IPSAS is more or less like mandatory. It tells you if you don't do it that way, you are wrong. Auditor can take a financial statement and tell you that what you have done is wrong. How did the auditor know that? What right? What authority does the auditor have? The auditor has the authority of what? IPSAS. IPSAS is mandatory. That is why Kofi will prepare the financial statement and AMA can audit it. Can Kofi prepare financial statements and AMA audit it? How is it possible? How can Kofi prepare financial statements for a different person to come and audit? Because they are all used the same authority. Are you okay? Kofi will use the authority given by the IPSAS to prepare the financial statements. And AMA, who is the auditor, will come and audit it using the same authority. So AMA can say that what Kofi has done is wrong. And indeed, Kofi will be wrong because Kofi didn't use the standard. So I'm saying that in order for IPSAS board to achieve their purpose, they use the IPSAS, right? That is authoritative standard. They have non-authoritative standard. The non-authoritative standard is not compulsory for you to use it. Non-authoritative standard. Some people will be remembering this. I will not say question 5A. Non-authoritative standard. So the non-authoritative standard, we have one conceptual framework. Conceptual framework is there to guide the accountant in preparing financial statements. It's not by force for you to do what the conceptual framework is saying. It's not by force. But IPSAS, it is by force. You understand? So conceptual, if you are preparing financial statements, conceptual framework can tell you that, okay, when you see this thing, treat it like this. It's not by force for you to do it. It's not by force. That when you see an asset, treat it this way. It's not by force. But if IPSAS tells you that if you see this, treat it like this, it is compulsory. Then you have recommended practice guide. Recommended practice guide, like the name suggests, they are guidelines that are issued by the IPSAS board to explain the standards. You see, the standard in itself doesn't make complete sense. Sometimes the standard doesn't make too much sense. But when you have a guideline, the guideline will lead you to understand it better. So the guideline will teach you, when you see this trick, you see the guideline can even give you an example. Can you see that? So we have recommended practice guide that is issued by the IPSAS board to explain the standard better for those who prepare financial statements to be able to use the standard without any difficulty. All these things, they are issued by IPSAS board, but they're not compulsory for the accountant to use. It's not by force. But the International Accounting Standard, that one is by force. I beg you. The International Accounting Standard, it is by force. So these are the two key documents. We have authoritative standards and non-authoritative. The non-authoritative, you have conceptual framework, we have recommended practice guide, then we have studies. We have studies. So studies are the practical studies that the IPSAS board has conducted. Sometimes they have conducted studies into certain issues or into certain areas. You understand it? That will help people who prepare financial statements to prepare it well. Then we have the last one called research papers and other papers. Research papers. Sometimes they have conducted research. They have conducted research and other things in the same, around a certain standard. You see, so the research will now give you alternatives. Based on our research, it is better for you to treat a certain asset this way or that way. That is as a research, but it's not by force and non-authoritative. It is not. But then I beg you, the International Public Accounting Standard Media, it is authoritative. That one is authoritative, so authoritative. Are you okay? Good. So in a nutshell, what am I saying? I'm saying that one, these people you are seeing here, they are the IPSAS board. What do? They prepare International Accounting Standard and the new one that has been added, how do you call it? Sustainability Reporting Standard. This is what they do. Can you see that? What are some of the activities they do? They, apart from delivering the global standards, they also inspire adoption and implementation. They create awareness for people to be able to adapt and use the standard. If they set the standards and they don't create awareness and they don't train people how to use the standard, nobody will use it and hence it will be useless. Can you see that? No wonder Ghana started using the IPSAS standards. No wonder we even test it in exams. We test it in exams for students to be able to know how to use it. Because this same student, that will become finance minister in future. Can you see that? So these are all means to promote the use of what standard. And all these things are being championed by the IPSAS board. Are you okay? And I'm saying that apart from the standard, we also have non-authoritative guidance apart from the standard. From time to time, IPSAS comes out with what? Recommended practice guide to explain certain standards. So from time to time, IPSAS updates the conceptual framework. IPSAS updates the conceptual framework. That also guides people. Now, conceptual framework is what they use in preparing the standard. I don't want to go into that. Conceptual framework is what they use in preparing the standard. I don't want to go into that, right? But the conceptual framework is there. As I'm talking to you now, I have conceptual framework on my phone. That conceptual framework will tell me that this is how you treat a part. This, if you see this thing, call it asset. Conceptual framework will tell me, if you see this thing, call it asset. Conceptual framework will tell me that if you want to measure asset, there's something called historical cost. There's something called fair value. Conceptual framework contains all those things. You understand it? So conceptual framework will help you, the financial accountant, to know how to treat elements and to know how to identify elements. All these things are there, but they are not authoritative. If you don't follow the conceptual framework, you are not wrong. Nobody can falter you. But if you don't follow what the standards say, you are wrong. And somebody will say that you have not prepared the financial statements well. Are you okay? Recommended practice guide is also there. Sometimes they conduct studies. into a certain financial reporting issue to find out or to gain more idea and knowledge. And sometimes they do research and they come out with research paper. Okay, the research could be in the form of survey, literature reviews, survey, case studies. All these things are research. All these things are done by the IPSAS board. You understand it? In order to help preparers of financial statements to prepare genuine and correct financial statements. Are you okay? Perfect. Perfect. That's a quick run. Okay. Now, one very important thing is the process of setting the standard. Okay, how is the standard set? How did they set a standard? The process of setting the standard. Please, the process of setting the standard. How do they set a standard? At what point do they say that we are going to set a standard? I'm talking about the IPSAS board. Do they just stand up one day and say that, let's set a standard? No. They follow a procedure. They follow a process. And that's so-called the IPSAS standard setting process. The standard will be learning. This is how they set those standards. Are you okay? Already, I've told you that the standard will be learning. You know, it is being formed by a group of people like you and I. So it's not anything we shouldn't be able to learn. It's people that set it. And we're also people. So we'll be able to learn it and understand it very well, right? Good. So the IPSAS standard setting process. The first one is what? Identify a need. There's a saying that if it is not broken, you don't fix it. Is that not the case? If there's no need for a standard, why do you set a standard? There should always be a need for a standard. Hallelujah. There should always be a need for a standard. Identify a need. There has to be a need. There has to be a need. So you have to identify a need. Now, please, Stephen bought a car. When I bought a car, I told myself that this car, I'll use it for only 1 year. So therefore, I treated the car as inventory. I treated the car as inventory. The same car was bought by Rashid. Rashid too says that this car, dear, I'll use it for 15 years. So me, dear, I'll treat it as a fixed asset. Hey, the same car, the same car. Hey, the same car. Amina also bought the same car. Amina also treated it separately. At the end of the year, they all prepared a financial statement. At the end of the year, the three of them, they all prepared a financial statement. Stephen treated a car as an inventory. Can you imagine? I don't think it is my Stephen. Rashid treated the same car that he bought as an asset. Hey, Amina too said that this car here, I will expense it. So Amina bought a car and expensed it, even though Amina is preparing a accrual base of accounting financial statements. Stephen bought a car and he treated it as an inventory. And Rashid bought a car and treated it as an asset. All other things being equal. All other things being equal. They are all right in their own imagination. If you tell them to justify, they can justify why the car should be an inventory. If it does, Stephen justify. Stephen can justify. But one thing is for sure, Stephen cannot use any standard to justify it. Stephen cannot use any authority to justify it. Because there's no standard on how to treat a non-current asset. There's no standard. IPSAS board has not developed any standard. They have not developed any standard on how to treat a car, a vehicle in the financial statement. So once they have not developed any standard, let me say that there's no need. They've not developed any standard. So nobody can tell Stephen, you are wrong. If you tell Stephen that Stephen is wrong, Stephen will ask you, okay, should it be done? Then you told that to say Stephen is wrong, you don't know how it should be done because there's no standard to that. Can you see that? Nobody can tell Rashid that Rashid, you are wrong. Why should you treat the car as an asset? Rashid just treated it because of how he feels it should be treated. The truth is that at this point in time, there's a need for a standard on how to treat a car. Listen to the grammar. Standard. Standard means there should be generally accepted way. That is standard. Huh? There should be generally accepted way of treating a car. Do you understand it? So therefore, we have a way. Everybody knows a way of treating a car. If I ask you, how do you treat a car? Everybody will say that, oh, for a car, treat it as a PPE. Oh, for a car, it's a non-current asset. Oh, a car is a fixed asset. Everybody will say it. Nobody in this class will say that a car is an inventory. Nobody. Or a car is an expense. Nobody. Why? Because there's a standard. There's a word, a standard. You all refer to the standard. And that standard is the authority. That's why they said that what? The standard is the authority. The standard is the authority. If the standard is not there, you can use any of these four. The non-authoritative guidance. This is in ICA question 5A. This thing was not and only four non-authoritative. Any other thing that IPSAS board can use, apart from the IPSAS standard, any non-authoritative. Okay, good. Let's forget that one. Good. So that is it, right? So there should always be a need. So at this point in time, I realize that there's a need for a standard. So let's assume that there's no standard on PPE. Now there's a need for a standard. There's a need. We need IPSAS. There's a need. There's a need. There's a need. So identify a need. There should be a need for a standard. There should be a need for a new standard or a revised standard. There should be a need for a new standard or what? A revised standard. There should always be a need. Always. There should always be a need. Yes, so right now I'm having Mr. Solomon saying that, say, a car can be an inventory depending on the sale or other things being used. Or that's why I said all other things being equal. Is that what they say? Ceteris paribus. All other things being equal. I believe you understand. All other things being equal. Mr. Solo, if you understand, respond and say yes. All other things being equal. I mean, on the basic logic of it. Yes, indeed. If you are selling, that is your inventory. That one I understand. But all other things being equal, under normal circumstance, car is not an inventory, right? In most cases. Is that the case? Perfect. Okay, good. So let's proceed. Good. So there should be a need for a standard. People should be calling for it. Not necessarily people should be calling for it. There should be a gap that you need a standard to fix. So always there should be a need. We need a standard on this particular issue. So today on the platform, somebody said, Sir Stephen, I thought IPSAS on. Somebody said, oh, no, me. Sir Stephen, I thought IPSAS on PP is IPSAS 45. Why is it IPSAS 17? Somebody said it too. Sir Stephen, the person is true. What the person is saying is true, right? Listen. The original standard they set, that IPSAS board set for PP was IPSAS 17. But they have revised it to IPSAS 45. Are you okay? The original one that they set was IPSAS 17. But they identified some loopholes that they were finding it difficult to measure heritage assets. So therefore, they have to revise the IPSAS 17 to make room for the what? IPSAS 45. I believe you understand it. So sometimes the need does not necessarily mean that you need a new standard. Sometimes the existing standards, they're not able to perform the functions for which they were formed. So you have to revise it. So that one too is a need. So the need, identify a need. Okay, so IPSAS board determines if a new standard or a revision is required. Can you see that? IPSAS board will determine if a new standard or a revision is required based on emerging issues and stakeholder input. Can you see that? Now, after they identify the need, they move a step forward to do research and consultation. So after they have identified a need that indeed we need a standard on PPE, we need a standard. IPSAS board, they will say, indeed, we need a standard on PPE. Please, this thing, if you are not a worker and you're a student, this thing is no, it is very crucial in FR and PSC exams. Understand it. But if you are a worker, I mean, you have already chatted, it is very, it is refreshing to know some of these things, right? It gives you confidence. Can you see that? It gives you confidence. So it's good you know it, right? Perfect. No do to employ here. Understand it. You see, there should be a need. After the need, you move to the next stage of what? Research and consultation. In some books, the next stage will be they form a committee, and the committee will do research and consultation. That's the key work of the committee. So they set a committee for the committee to do research and consultation. They will do a lot of research. So how do they do the research? So they'll start by going to various countries, right? So when they go to this country, they'll ask this country, hey, this country, do you treat PPE currently? Because there's no standard. How do you treat it? Then this country will say that, oh, me, I treat it as inventory. Anytime I just treat it as inventory, I push it to inventory because this and that and that. Then you go to this country, they go to country B. Country B, how do you currently treat PPE? Because there's no standard, so how do you treat it? Then this country will say that, oh, me, if I buy that asset now, then I write it off as an expense. Me, there, I just expense it. Okay, then they go to a different country. Oh, country C, you too, please, how do you treat PPE? Because there's no standard, so how do you treat it? They want the best way of treating it, so that they can adapt to it. Can you see that? So they'll go to that country will say that, oh, the PPE, because of this and that, I treat it as an asset. Can you see the thing? Can you see the picture? So this country treats it as an asset. Then they go to stakeholders. Okay, all stakeholders. They solicit for what? For ideas. So stakeholder like Steven. Yes, Steven. So me too, I'll go there and tell them that, hey, Master, do you know something? PPE, it would be best to treat it as an asset. Yes, then my wife will come. My wife too is a stakeholder who is in economics. She too, she'll say that according to this theory and this principle, it is better for, you see, that is the research, and they'll consult. They'll be gathering ideas. They'll be gathering knowledge on the best way to do it. And they do that from auditors, people from KPMG. They'll give their input. The Big Four, EY, they also give their input. You understand it? Key public officials will also give, Finance Minister of Ghana will give his or her input, so that they now find them. So of all this, they will sit down, IPSAS board will sit down and come out with what we call exposure draft. Say exposure draft. They will gather all of this input and come out with what we call exposure draft. Exposure draft is proposed. We're only a draft. A draft for exposure. Do a proposed standard among all the consultation, among all the research, among all the solicitors, whatever, or more information, okay, getting information. Among all those things, they'll put everything in what? In a form of a draft. You understand it? That if it is accepted, that will become the standard. So exposure draft is a proposed standard. Exposure draft becomes a proposed what? Standard. Good. Then after, they now go and put it on their website for people to give their feedback. Can you see that? For people to review. So because they took information from a lot of people, after they put everything on the paper, they will not come and put it back on the website for people to come and now give their input. So when you come and you think, the way the standard has been drafted, you think it's not appropriate, then you now give your input. You don't go and insult them. Don't go and say that nonsense. Why did you do it this way? Instead of you to do it this way, you people, you don't know anything. No, you don't do that. You just go there, then you tell them in a very nice way. Tell them that I think this should be also be considered. I think this should be considered. I think you understand it. So we go to the next one. That is the public consultation. So follow me, okay? One advantage of online studies is that we can do a lot of practice, right? So follow me. Let us go and search for exposure drafts, right? Good. So quickly, let's go into exposure drafts. So this is the website of IPSAS. So when you come to the website of IPSAS board, they have a board. They have a website. This is the IPSAS board website. Can you see that? Sorry, I'm sharing a screen. Sorry. I'm sharing a screen. I believe you can see my screen now. This is the website of IPSAS board. Can you see that? Good. Now, look at this. What do you see? Exposure draft 1 on what? SRS. Who can tell me? Who can tell me the meaning of SRS? Like I said, formerly, IPSAS board, they were only concerned about developing accounting standards. But now, they have widened their scope to include sustainability reporting standard. Right? So IPSAS board is now developing accounting standard and sustainability reporting standard. So the first sustainability reporting standard that they intend to develop is currently on display. As you can see, IPSAS board, SRS, sustainability reporting standard on climate-related disclosures. Can you see that? So we have exposure draft 1. So this is exposure draft 1. Do you get it? This exposure draft 1. You see, this is an exposure draft. So open for comment. If you want to comment on this exposure draft, can you see that? If you want to comment, in fact, let's go and comment on this exposure. There are a lot of exposure drafts, a whole lot of them, right? So let me show you more exposure drafts. Plenty of exposure drafts. See, okay, let's go. Open for comment. You have comments. Them that the exposure draft more. And yet, so look at this. We have exposure draft 1, climate and related change. Then we have exposure draft 92 on tangible natural resources. Ladies and gentlemen, very soon we will have a standard on tangible natural resources. Very soon. Can you see that? So let's go and give our comments. In fact, it is worthy to know this. Look at this. What they say. They say open public consultation. Open. They have opened it to the public for us to give our feedback. Open public consultation. So they will put the exposure draft on display for everyone to go and give a comment. So this is extract from the standard. So they are saying that climate change affects everyone. Climate bodies, in fact. So look at it. IPSAS board standards are designed. IPSAS board, you see, these are all how the standard is going to be like. So when you read it, February 20 until February 28th. So we cannot give our feedback. So sometimes, so this exposure draft too. This is how the standard is going to be like. Can you see that? When you have time, kindly go to their website. You see a lot of exposure drafts. Can you see that? So many exposure drafts in so many languages. Yes. So that's how standards and pronunciation. You see, amendment to IPSAS standards. See, IPSAS 45, property, plant, and equipment, PPE. It was formerly IPSAS 17, but there has been a revision. Can you see that? IPSAS 45. Can you see that? IPSAS 45. Conceptual framework for reporting entities. I told that conceptual framework is made by IPSAS board, and they use the conceptual framework to make standard. So please, that is, you see, this is where all the standards are. If you think there's any standard you don't like, you can report on it, and they will look into it. If you have a case, they will amend it. Can you see that? Consultancy. So if you these people, I mean, you need a consultancy, you go and see these people. Yes, and others. Are you okay? So please, if you have time, kindly go through. Okay. So work program, completed projects. If you want to see completed projects. All these are completed projects. IPSAS on revenue, they have done it. They are done with it. IPSAS on natural resources, it's a completed project. Can you see that? IPSAS on social benefits, it was completed in 2023. IPSAS on measurement, it was completed on 2025. Can you see that? All these are completed projects, completed standards that they have finished. Over here, we have open for comments. Standards that are open for comments. As it stands now, there are only 2 standards that are open for comments. Can you see that? There are only 2 standards that are open for what? Comments. So that is the third point. Draft, exposure draft, they have public consultation. So after the public consultation, then the next phase is what? IPSAS board will review all the comments that they have gotten from across the world. IPSAS board, they will take all the comments and go through. So considering those comments, they will redraft the standard. Remember, the first standard was drafted as exposure draft. Now they will put it in the public domain for 3 to 6 months. They'll put it out there on their website for 3 to 6 months in order for them to get a lot of what? Comments. Then they'll use the comment to review the standards. They'll use the comment to what? To review the standards. Okay, good. So I'm sharing. They'll use the standard to review. They'll use the comment to review the standard. So review and what? Refining. Review and refining the standard. Then after that, it will go for final approval. It will go for final approval and issuance. So after they approve it, after they review it, then it will go for final approval. Then once it is being approved, then it becomes a standard. Once it is being approved, it becomes a standard. That is where they will add IPSAS standard X, IPSAS standard 1, IPSAS standard 2. It happens at what? The final approval and issuance stage. Then the last one is what? Implementation and support. After that, they will implement it. They will implement the standard by giving guidance, by training people who will be using it. You understand it? And by sending, how do you call it? Recommended practice guide. They'll issue recommended practice guide on it and other things. Are you okay? In order for people to be. So please, in a nutshell, it's not difficult. Even when you see this in exams, don't think deep. Don't think deep. All what you have to know is that there should be a need. It's a need. Then they have to do research. After they do the research, they come out with a draft, exposure draft. Then they'll put the exposure draft in the public domain. Then after they put the exposure draft in the public domain, they will now go and take it and review it. That's the reason why they put it in public domain. Then they'll review it. When they review it, it now goes for final approval. When we, not necessarily you writing everything. Just understand. Just understand it and write it in your own way. Are you okay? And write it in your own way. Who can write all the standards, these 7 steps or 7 processes? Who can write or who can mention 3 of them without looking on the screen? If you can just raise your hand, just mention 3. I don't need a perfect answer. I just want to see if you have understood. There should be a need after research and consultation has to take place. Then you have drafting and exposure drafts. Then you have public consultation. They have review and refinements. Then we have final approval and implementation support. Yes, I see so many hands, but I just wanted to see if you are following. And indeed, you are following. So we are good to go. So please, this is the standard setting process. Then after they finish with this, they will now come out with what? An accounting standard. Can you see that? Perfect. So this brings us to the end of the lecture 1. This brings us to the end of the lecture 1. Now come to unmute all of you. Okay, so thank you very much. Kindly do subscribe. Okay, thank you.